So let's get to the 53-man roster, and we're also going to address the guys or the players that they cut. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are we? All right. So let's do it. Obviously, at quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, and Sam Howell. I think it's great that Tanner McKee didn't land on IR with the thumb injury, which is good. Sam Howell's going to be your quarterback 3 for the season, but depending on McKee's recovery timeline, Sam Howell may be quarterback 2 until McKee is fully ready to go as QB2. And honestly, Sam Howell as your backup, you could do a lot worse. Sam Howell put up a lot of big numbers in 2023. Started a lot of games for the Washington Commanders. So, yeah, Sam Howell, you can do a lot worse. And Sam Howell has experience being a high-volume thrower, has experience pushing the ball downfield. So, yeah, I like that for the Eagles, having Sam Howell as quarterback 3 and quarterback 2 for week 1. Running back, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, and Will Shipley. I expected that. Fullback, Ben Van Sumeren. I expected that as well. So wide receivers, they ended up keeping 5. They kept A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, and John Mechie III. I think the shocker for me is them not keeping Ainias Smith. I thought Ainias Smith did enough to make this roster. I thought he showed his prowess on special teams. I thought he showed the growth he made as a receiver, especially in the red zone on those quick slant opportunities. Maybe the Eagles believe that they can get Ainias Smith through waivers. Maybe they believe that. And I honestly think the conversation came down to Darius Cooper or Ainias Smith. Who do we believe has the highest ceiling as a receiver? Who do we believe has the most value at receiver? Who do we think has a greater chance of getting through waivers? And I think they said to themselves, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni and those guys, I think they said to themselves, we can probably sneak Ainias Smith through waivers. Darius Cooper, that kid showed something in that Bengals game that we need to continue to nurture and water and pour into. Darius Cooper, the way he plays, again, it was really only for one game because the quarterback play for preseasons week 2 and 3 was abysmal. When he actually was with a competent quarterback in Tanner McKee, Darius Cooper did great things against the number ones, against the Bengals' number 1 defense. Granted, the Bengals' defense is trash, but regardless, Darius Cooper, just the eye test just says Darius Cooper has a higher ceiling than Ainias Smith. And sometimes I hate the eye test argument because I feel like it's used negatively as well as it is used positively. But Darius Cooper, when I see Ainias Smith move and I see Darius Cooper move, I see 2 different species. I mean that with love and respect. When I see Darius Cooper move and I see Ainias Smith move, they're two different fauna. They're 2 different species. I like this wide receiver room a lot. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, John Mechie III. This wide receiver room has versatility. You have power and finesse. You have guys that can block. You have guys who can get it done after the catch. A.J. Brown can block and he can get it done after the catch. Devontae Smith, he's a willing blocker, can get it done. One of the most reliable, probably the most reliable hands on the team outside of A.J. Brown. Jahan Dotson, a route running technician, knows how to be where he's supposed to be, knows how to run his route to get guys open, runs beautiful flank routes, runs beautiful crossing routes to clear space. Darius Cooper has a lot of pop. We're going to see what he does with opportunities he gets. John Mechie III can block, has reliable hands, probably doesn't have the highest top end speed, but he's a solid possession guy. You got reliable hands. You got explosiveness and you got reliable hands in this wide receiver room right now. In this wide receiver room right now, you have to give credit where credit is due. All right, and again, I was wrong. I thought they would keep Ainias Smith. Obviously, they did not. Continuing on, I had the Eagles only keeping 2 tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. They decided to keep 3 this year. They decided to keep Kylen Granson. Now, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. Kylen Granson, he caught He caught some good passes. He had some moments in the preseason, right? Now, Colin Granson and Grant Calcaterra, they're not the blocker. They're not the blockers that Dallas Goedert is. But nonetheless, I think that tight end room isn't devoid on pass catching ability. I don't think Grant Calcaterra and Colin Granson are devoid of pass catching ability. Are they as explosive or are they as dominant as Dallas Goedert? Probably not. Dallas Goedert is just a physical specimen compared to those guys. But Grant Calcaterra and Colin Granson, they can get open. They have reliable hands. Grant Calcaterra, maybe the numbers don't show that, but whenever the ball came his way in Dallas Goedert's absence, Grant Calcaterra caught some crucial catches. You know what I mean? One most notably, Kenny Pickett, third down, finds Grant Calcaterra on a deep ball. Grant Calcaterra snags it with one hand, keeps the drive alive, and at that point, the Eagles' offense takes off. Right? I like Grant Calcaterra, not the best blocker, but I like him as a pass catcher. I like his vertical ability. Colin Granson, same thing. All right, moving on. The Eagles decided to keep 11 offensive linemen. So peep this. In 2024, they kept 9. I predicted them to keep 10. They ended up keeping 11. Now, prior to the Fred Johnson trade, I had them keeping Lane Johnson, Tyler Steen, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Kendall Lamb, Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Brett Toth, Darian Kennard. Now, obviously, Darian Kennard was traded to the Green Bay Packers for a draft pick. Kendall Lamb didn't make the cut. And they traded for Fred Johnson. So that completely blew up my predictions for the Eagles' 53-man roster. And it's so crazy because I had Trevor Keegan on my list initially. And I swapped him out for Brett Toth. And I believe, just based off what the roster is telling me right here, I clearly overvalued Kendall Lamb. I overvalued him. He's an older guy anyway. I think Kendall Lamb will land somewhere, but I clearly overvalued Kendall Lamb to the point where the Eagles say, you know what, Tone? We got to go trade for Fred Johnson. Here, look, Fred Johnson is younger. He has experience in this offense. He has experience backing up Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata in crucial games. So you basically went and got a proven product in Fred Johnson. You kept the rookie Drew Kendall as your backup center. I love that move. I think Drew Kendall is your backup center. Matt Pryor, you went and found him in free agency. He used to play for the Eagles back in the day. But you actually moved on from Matt Pryor during the Carson Wentz trade. But nonetheless, Matt Pryor finds his way back to Philly. You signed him as a free agent. Matt Pryor has right guard and right tackle capabilities. Now, he's a backup for a reason. Just like Fred Johnson, they're backups for a reason. You don't want these guys out there for 17 games, but if you need them to come in and spell your offensive lineman for a snap or for a series or maybe a quarter or a game or 2 weeks, they can do that. But again, I think the Eagles, the offensive line depth looks way better with Fred Johnson's name in it. I'll tell you that right now. When you look at it as a whole, you got Fred Johnson, Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Brett Toth, who they like. Brett Toth just finds his way on this roster. It's crazy. And they decided to keep Cameron Williams. I think Cameron Williams went to Texas. So I got that right? Cameron Williams. Yes. Cameron Williams went to the University of Texas. 6'6", 317 pounds, good size, good athleticism for the position. All right, so Fred Johnson, Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Brett Toth, Cameron Williams, and Trevor Keegan. I like Trevor Keegan. I'm a Trevor Keegan guy. Cameron Williams, I didn't think he would make the roster. I thought Cameron Williams and Miles Hinton, they showed so many. They're so raw as far as talent. They have traits you like, but they're so raw when it comes to talent. In fundamentals. And look, they still have a lot of these guys were what, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, something like that. So you gotta curb your expectations. But the size that Cameron Williams brings, you like that. You can't teach that. The athleticism he has, he clearly has it. And Jeff Stoutland clearly must have pulled for this guy. So the Eagles managed to keep 2 rookies in their offensive line room, Cameron Williams and Drew Kendall. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. And I think Miles Hinton, they hid him. They hid him on IR. So yeah, let's keep this ball rolling here. All right, defensive tackle. I was completely correct on that. I had the Philadelphia Eagles keeping 6 D tackles. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Joma, Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and Byron Young. I was completely right on that. That went exactly how I expected it to go. I was more accurate on the defensive side than I was offensively when it came to predicting this. Edge rusher. I got edge rusher a little. I was a little off on edge rusher, right? I had them keeping Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, Aziz Ojulari, and Patrick Johnson. They ultimately ended up keeping Ogbo, Okoran. I always mess his name up. Okoronkwo. They ended up keeping Ogbo Okoronkwo instead of Patrick Johnson. Now, Ogbo Okoronkwo has real experience. He has experience in this league. He's a veteran. It's funny. This edge rusher room has a lot of guys in their early to mid 20s. I think Ogbo is probably the oldest guy. Yeah, Ogbo was 30 years old, 6'2", 253 pounds, great size. Came into the league as an older rookie at 24 years old. Spent 3 years with the Rams, a season with Houston, and 2 seasons in Cleveland, where he had one of his better seasons. Particularly the 2022 Houston season and the 2023 Cleveland season. But Ogbo is a guy that has shown over the past few seasons that he can get you. He can get you a few sacks a season as a rotational, as your 5th edge rusher. He can get you 3 sacks. I'm cool with that. Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. This is a big year for those guys. We expect them to take that next step. Josh Uche and Aziz Ojulari, they're your rotational pieces. They're gonna have to spell Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt throughout the season. And they have to be able to prove they can be productive in limited action. And I think Uche and Ojulari, based off of what they've done in their careers, and in particular the injury history with Ojulari, you can probably maximize his production with limited reps, keeping him fresh, keeping him healthy. But yeah, Ogbo Okoronkwo is the person who made the roster that I didn't expect. I thought they would keep Patrick Johnson on the edge. They decided to keep Ogbo. So congratulations to him. And again, I'm going to get to your super chat, you guys. I'm going to get to all your comments here. Let's keep this ball rolling here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. All right. Linebacker. Inside linebacker. I was correct. I had them keeping Zack, Baun, Jihaad, Campbell, Trotter Jr., and Smile Mondon. That was a no-brainer. Cornerback. I was also correct with that. I had them keeping 6 corners. And I was right on all the names. They kept Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jakorian Bennett, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, and Matt McWilliams. So Adoree Jackson is the OG in that room. Adoree, I think, is 30 years old, something like that, 30 or 31. Matt McWilliams is the rookie. Jakorian Bennett and Keely Ringo are the 3rd-year guys. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are the 2nd-year guys. So this DB room is fairly young. You got a combination of rookies and 2nd and 3rd-year guys, and you got one OG and you got one OG with a ton of experience in Adoree Jackson. I personally don't think Adoree Jackson did enough to make this roster. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Adoree Jackson did nearly enough to make this roster. If you ask me, I think he made this roster by process of elimination, by default, because of that experience. I think he's some kind of some excuse for a security blanket. I don't know. I didn't think Adoree Jackson did enough in coverage, in tackling, in space. I just don't think Adoree Jackson did enough to make this roster. But I had to be honest with myself and acknowledge that he's been getting more of the first team reps than Keely Ringo. So, and the Eagles only made one move to add to the room, and that was Jakorian Bennett. Now, whoever is going to go out there and be cornerback 2 in week 1, we're going to find out. Will it be Jakorian Bennett? Will it be Matt McWilliams? Adoree Jackson? We don't know. But I predicted this room correctly because I had to put my ego to the side and say, you know what, Adoree Jackson is going to make this roster, no matter what I want. I think he's and that's what happened. He made the roster. So congratulations to Adoree Jackson. We'll see how that goes, but I think Jakorian Bennett will be CB2 when week 1 starts. That's what I think. And he's only going to get better in this Vic Fangio scheme. All right, at safety, I was also correct. I had them keeping Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Andrew Makuba, and Tristan McCullum. And that's exactly who they kept. Not mad at it at all. I think when the season starts, barring injury, I think Andrew Makuba will be your starting safety come week 1. I think he showed a stronger ability to make plays. I think he showed better prowess in coverage. Like I just believe Andrew Makuba showed better awareness, better technique in coverage than Sidney Brown has. And Tristan McCullum, a player that the Eagles like, a depth piece. Vic Fangio likes him. And as far as specialists go, I had them keeping 3. I had them keeping Charlie Hewlett, the long snapper, but I guess they felt like, hey, we can get him through waivers. We ain't tripping about that. He's a 30-plus-year-old long snapper. No need to hold a roster spot for him. We'll get him through waivers. They kept Jake Elliott and Brandon Mann, of course, your kicker and your punter. Now, when it gets to the injured reserve in the PUP list, Nakobe Dean is on the PUP list right now. He should be ready by week 5. That's what he tweeted, or that's what he posted on his Instagram. Johnny Wilson is done for the season. Has to get surgery on his knee and his ankle. He's done. Cameron Williams, the Eagles are hiding him on IR, another guy that they drafted. I think Cameron Williams is out of Michigan. Make sure I got this right here. Wait, hold on. I'm tripping now. Hold on. Time's out. Miles Hinton. That's who it is. Miles Hinton. My bad. Let me fix that. Miles Hinton. Excuse me. There we go. My bad, y'all. Miles Hinton. Had my notes mixed up. All right. Miles Hinton, they're hiding him on IR. He went to Michigan. So think about it. The Eagles got 2 offensive linemen out of Michigan, Miles Hinton and Trevor Keegan. You know, Michigan is a run heavy team. All right, let's see here. All right, so that's our 53-man roster. Let's recap it real quick. So quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Sam Howell. At running back, they kept 3, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, and Will Shipley. They kept a fullback in Ben Van Sumeren, who also has linebacker capabilities. At wide receiver, they kept 5 guys, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper. Congratulations to the Charleston State product, man. Congratulations to Darius Cooper. They also kept John Mechie. At tight end, they kept 3 guys, Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and Kylan Granson. Offensive line, they kept 11 guys. They kept Lane Johnson, Tyler Steen, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, which means that Landon Dickerson will not be on IR. He likely will play week 1, week 2 at the latest. Jordan Mailata, Fred Johnson, Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Brett Toth, Cameron Williams, and Trevor Keegan. Drew Kendall and Cameron Williams are rookies. Drew Kendall is your backup center. Matt Pryor is your rotational right guard and right tackle. Trevor Keegan also has guard and center capabilities. Fred Johnson is your swing tackle as well. Cameron Williams, a developmental piece, but I believe he's a left tackle. I believe he's a left tackle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, he's a right tackle. All right, let's keep it going. At D tackle, they kept Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and Byron Young. On the edge, at off-ball linebacker, they kept Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Aziz Ojolari, Ogbo Okoronkwo. At inside linebacker, your technicians, they got Zack Baun, Jihaad Campbell, Trotter Jr., and Smile Mondon. At corner, they have Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jakorian Bennett, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, and Mac McWilliams. And at safety, they have Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Andrew Makuba, and Tristan McCullum. And as your specialist, they have Jake Elliott, your kicker, and Brandon Mann, your punter. And again, this 53-man roster will be very different when the season actually starts. Let's make that clear. When the season actually starts, This is going to look very, very different, you guys. Very, very different. Injured reserve / the PUP list, you got Nakobe Dean on the PUP list, should be ready by week 5. Johnny Wilson is done for the season. And you got Miles Hinton, a developmental offensive lineman out of Michigan that the Eagles really like, and they're hiding him on IR.